Welcome to our podcast all about a fast-growing company trying to do something a little different. We cover everything Halo, from our culture and our business ethos and how this has attributed to our success, as well as even some of our new features. My name is Rosa, and I'll be here to guide you, and this is the Halo Way. Today on the podcast, we have Richard from marketing, and he's going to tell us all about his journey into the marketing department and also some of the behind the scenes of the McLaren partnership. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
Would you like a beverage?
Yes, please. I'll take a glass of water, please.
Glass of water. Wise decision. Oh,
Thank you.
don't have a bartender today, so.
5 stars for the service already.
Absolutely. So, Richard, you are currently the head of our marketing team, but you weren't always. Do you want to give a little sort of intro about your journey at Halo?
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been very long. March 6th is when I joined. I remember it like it was yesterday. But yeah, obviously did support at the start. Like everyone, it's great to learn. You know, especially with all the roles and stuff in the company. You know, you're sort of everything needs you to know what you're doing work with.
Yeah.
But you never really consider marketing to be an option at the start, especially because we don't really have a team, obviously. So it was a very unique thing. I didn't really consider it at all. And obviously when you're learning the software, you're sort of more concerned about functionality and stuff rather than actually studying the market. So
Yeah.
when I got dropped into it, and I'm glad I did because I absolutely love it. But you know, I was sort of so new to it, and it was like, you know, I just committed to learning anything consultancy and things like that, only to then realize that I'll slowly be somewhat forgetting what I've learned already because I have to learn about competition, how things work, you know, where we've listed and things like that. And yeah, but obviously that was a big sort of turn of events, but it was great. I'm also glad that I was considered for it because Paul just randomly decided that he wants to wrap a car.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so literally just wanted to make a livery for a car. And he sent out an email whether we've got any ideas or anything like that. And it was really annoying because I've genuinely thought about doing this like a couple of days prior to him sending the email, and that was just a complete coincidence.
Yeah.
But I love cars. I love designing, and I love editing, and that's what I do in my spare time as a hobby and stuff like that. So, you know, I've sort of put it together, presented it to him. And he liked it. He liked my attitude and stuff like that as well. So
I think liked is probably an understatement. Knowing Paul, he'd be like, "Oh, this is amazing." Yeah,
no, he quite liked it. Obviously, we never really focused on that as a priority to do that. But so we haven't really actually wrapped any cars yet. But who knows? But yeah, so that was kind of like an opportunity that I found as fun, and he considered it cool. He thought I had everything he needs to get someone into marketing, and yeah, here I was.
I think that's one of the things that you hear when you ask people about their jobs. Obviously everybody here started in support, and it's such a great basis because you could hire someone externally to do the marketing, and yes, they know the marketing, but they don't know the product and they don't know the way that we operate. And I think that's like a really strong foundation to have before you actually start thinking about external things.
Yeah. Well, obviously, no one comes here with a knowledge or industry experience or anything related to that. Everyone's just sort of starts from the start. Really, you know, you sort of come in here, and it's interesting because everyone who is trained in house. So, you know, we don't rely on any external training or anything like that. It's literally just everyone just passes knowledge on to one another.
Yeah.
And everyone just picks it up slowly, but marketing is a little bit different, right? Because
for sure.
No one was really doing it before. It's really useful to have the knowledge for the product, but then you also need the passion for the actual job itself.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's the opposite where you know everything marketing, but you're not really aware of what's going on, and that's essentially what we've managed to bridge. Where I've learnt what we're doing, and I also do have an interest, and then it's a lot easier to develop when you've got both.
Yeah, for sure.
Than just sort of having one side, because you're not really going to get the same kind of level. So yeah.
And the marketing is something that is kind of all self-taught as you went along, just trying to work out the best ways to do things.
See, the thing is, it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
And it's also a fair amount of common sense where you sort of, you need to understand what we think will work, what people will like, and I've been doing design stuff as a hobby for ages, and I've been able to polish up things and get some feedback on what I've done in the past, obviously. But you always have to understand who you're catering for, essentially.
Yeah. What were those sort of like the hobby side of things? Like, who were you showing it to? What were you doing?
So obviously cars and stuff. I did do like just sort of sim racing, just sort of.
Oh, so you were like designing cars before?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was a frequent thing.
Yeah.
Like that was.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, I was able to do that quite quickly as well because it's just what we used to do. I did it for fun, just sort of sim racing in general. So you just have a wheel and a pedals and stuff like that, and you just play the game. I did that a lot. But I got so involved and I started like caring about like the overall like look of the whole team and stuff, and we were going international with some events and stuff, and so it's actually really ironic because all these events and stuff that we've organized and the people that came along, it applies to everything that we're doing here as well. We're doing event management as well. We had Orbit as well not long ago. Just putting it all together, the agenda, making sure that it's everything's looked after the way it's supposed to be, and yeah, so it's funny, and yeah, I took sort of ownership over the design stuff there as well.
Yeah.
Also cars,
Yeah, so
it's car related as well.
Speaking of Orbit, today we're filming somewhere slightly different, next to the McLaren wall. You can tell with the bright orange. So you've been heavily involved in that.
So the day when, so obviously the livery stuff that I've said a few minutes ago was sort of, I think, sometime in May. I think it was a month and a half into when I was here, and I'm pretty sure that sometime in June, I can't tell you an exact date, but sort of after consideration and stuff, Paul's asked me to sort of meet him in that room. And
meet him after dark with a briefcase full of money in the parking lot.
Honestly, I didn't know it. I literally, the first thing I went in there, I said, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, if anything, it's the opposite. So that's when he sort of told me that, just the things that I've done so far, it would make a great marketing person. And I was skeptical at the start, I was like, I was really worried about, it's different with consultancy and sales and things like that, because we've got so many people sort of doing that and so much expertise in that as well.
And the path is very obvious as to what you're doing.
So there is a clear path of, we've already got ways of measuring success. You've got a path to progression, and things like that. And marketing is just a bit of a blank space. You don't really know how you're going to progress. So that was my main concern, whether, and then now I'm obviously realizing that it is a very prestigious thing, obviously, because as we grow, it's going to need a lot more attention.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't quite realize how many things we've actually been doing that we weren't doing anymore because of sort of changes in the marketing team and stuff like that. And but anyway, so back to the thing. So he pulls me into the room and he tells me, it would be great if I joined and stuff. And then what do I think? And then obviously we started discussing, and then Tim Barton Wines comes in and we were talking to each other as well.
Had you met Tim Barton Wines before that?
No, that was the first time. Yeah. So that was the first time. The only thing I knew about him is that he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he comes in and then obviously he tells me his part, and I was like, is this a sales pitch? Or
He'll sell you anything. He's so good.
Yeah. So I'm like, are you trying to sell me the role, or is this genuine? And it was genuine. It was great. So I essentially said, you know what, I'm interested. Then let's do it. I'd love to give this a go. And Paul was like, great. So tomorrow we're going to sign the McLaren deal. Would you like to come along? Zach Brown's going to be there, the CEO of McLaren Racing. And I'm like, okay, hello. Great. So yeah,
right in the deep end.
Yeah. And in very traditional Halo fashion, the next day after that conversation, went down to London, stayed in a Travelodge.
Yeah.
Got some beer off of Uber Eats, and then went to sign a contract.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It sounds very Halo.
There's nothing more Halo than that.
Yeah.
Nice. So in terms of, let's start with the wall. Now this is like for my indulgence.
It's nice, isn't it?
So how did you decide what to do in the office to make it a bit different, to be like, because on the day they actually did like, this is McLaren, we've now got the wall, we had a sign on the front. How did you sort of organize that or decide like what we should do?
So one of the concerns about this whole partnership is that not everyone would be a fan of it.
Okay.
Not everyone saw the value in it internally.
Yeah, I
some
think
of
it's a bit abstract.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you see privately owned company that is in a partnership with anything F1 related? Crazy. But obviously we've got 100 staff in here, and not everyone is a fan. Not everyone sees the value. You know, people kept saying, why don't we just do football instead? You know, but the reason why people want football is because they understand the value of a football sponsorship a lot more, because football is so much more widespread than Formula One. And in the end, there's a lot more synergy with Formula One in general, but obviously not a lot of people understood that. So we realized that we need a way to help people recognize the value in this internally as well. You know, that you have to do something to realize how much. So that's
you need
why
everyone on board.
Yes, that's why we had the internal staff events and things like that, you know, just to make sure that, you know, like, here, watch this, see this, it's incredible, and this is what we're into now, this is what we get to do. And obviously a lot of people were immediately experiencing, I mean, tons of people messaging it on, you know, consultancy calls and things like that, you know, everything like that. But, you know, just to add to it, I thought we should add a bit of a feature in the office as well, just to make sure that, you know, people you know, sort of see it every day and like it. So I knew that we would have like an announcement in here. So I thought, you know, this is essentially a feature of all. It was that boring dark blue color, which looked great, it fit the theme. This definitely doesn't compared to the rest, but
definitely stand out.
It has a purpose, and I think it's great to just have the whole thing just theme McLaren.
So also on McLaren, we had a very exciting event, which Paul has covered a bit, but you've done all the behind-the-scene works, like on Orbit. So we've heard about the main event, but do you want to tell us a bit about sort of what you organise, and maybe we can get some clips, hopefully, about how amazing it looked?
Sure. So, obviously the point of the whole thing was to sort of orient it towards why it's great to partner with us, and sort of the value, this, you know, just the transparency, you know, sharing the philosophy, sharing the ideology, and you know, making sure that people are aware of what we're doing. You know, telling them that the way we work, the way we build our products and stuff like that. And obviously we had to work on the agenda a long time and sort of fine tune it. And we actually didn't get a final one until the very day of the event.
Oh, I know.
We still had to move things around because we just couldn't agree on what the best order is. And obviously we shared the space in two different rooms. So we had to like decide where goes which one, and some were more ideal for some things than the others. So so we had to pull it apart a little bit, but it ended up working out quite well.
Yeah, it was really good.
So that in itself was a very long discussion, and then once that was done, we could then start working on the aesthetics.
That's the main bit. So when we sat down in the first room, it was the sort of circular room, the orbit room, as I think about it.
Yeah, the 360 room.
360, and we had these 360 graphics sort of moving around, and it was just, I don't know, it's insane. Yeah,
so there's individual projectors sort of embedded into the ceiling that face towards a circle, essentially. And they sort of they're like blended into each other, and it makes the 360 screen.
That's so smooth.
But
so
the annoying
not actual screens, they're just projections.
Yeah, they're projectors. But I do, you know, just because of that, you know, it was slightly sort of lost its sort of depth of color and things like that. So that's something to consider next time. But you know, there's a lot of stuff we need to polish up, and considering the fact that we've only ever seen that room once before I've actually done it, I think we've done a great job.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, there was no sort of chance to like you know, sort of see it for yourself if it works or not. You know, you couldn't like adjust it or anything.
Yeah, it's like make or break.
Yeah. So it was literally, you get one attempt. If it works, it works. And yeah, it was incredible. It's a really wide screens, but you still have to design the whole thing on one really long strip. So like, imagine like a big circle laid out flat. So it's a 30,000 pixel wide and a 728 pixel tall canvas.
And then when things move, you have to get them to move from one thing.
Yeah, and it was so hard to gauge as well, because when you have like something moving around the screen, you know, you see it move like that much on the screen, you know, within like 2 seconds, but that's like half the room, you know. So you have to make sure it's not like too fast and things like that. And yeah, I've never done something like this before, but it's such a great venue, and it looks incredible, and it's so nice to be working in places like this. And when we got there, obviously we loaded it up, and then I do just want to give a shout out to the whole team at McLaren, because they are so incredibly, like, they're incredible. So they're all trained. They've got several years of experience. There was a dedicated person on the PowerPoints, the slideshows, someone on the audio, someone on the video, someone on the, just someone generally like sort of directing the whole thing as well.
Yeah.
But not a single one of them took authority over the actual production, because you were the person who coordinates the things. Do you know what I mean? And the reason why that's great is because there was no such thing as no. Like they agreed to everything. If I said, this could fade a little bit, sort of 2 seconds later, they got it done immediately. And even last minute changes as well. Like they were so efficient. You could just talk to anyone and it would just all go back, and really good communication. And
that's impressive.
Everything that we wanted to achieve, they made it happen, and it was incredible.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in terms of the partnership, it was great. Obviously, we get to visit there a lot. Had the sort of staff event out as well. We get a lot of I do want to point out that it's a lot more than just the logo on the car as well. You know,
for sure.
It's not a sponsorship. Yeah. It's a partnership. They are using our software, and we are literally helping them improve and accelerate performance.
Well, I think even some of the conversations that I've heard between us and them, it just sounds like it's been a good learning opportunity in terms of like how they run business and how we run business, and how just like reflecting on the good points that we really like in them and bringing that into our company, that kind of thing as well. That sounds really interesting, rather than it just being like, and nobody else will see that. That's just between us. But I think that's such a cool aspect of completely different company, but there's always something you can learn from them. Yeah,
from the get-go, there were so many similarities between us and them as well. Yeah. I'm sure Paul covered it in his own one when he talked about why McLaren.
Yeah.
And so I won't repeat what he said, but yeah, just so much that we shared so many things and values.
So having moved into marketing and been doing that for a while, is it more fulfilling than you thought maybe a job would be?
Yeah. You see, there's this dilemma that every graphics designer faces, where it's like, by the time you get something done, you're bored of it.
Yeah.
Because you've seen your own work so many times that you don't really like it anymore. Because you always think like, yeah, this could have been better, this could have been more amazing, and it's just. But then you show it to someone, and then they're just like, wow, and I'm like, really? This is like a 7 out of 10, and they're like, this is the best thing I've seen in my life.
That's why you need the perspective though, because you start being completely clouded by the things that you do.
95% of my work looked better in my head than when it's executed, but Orbit wasn't one of them.
Okay.
So nice. Yes, I was bored of it when I've seen it, and I've tried to.
We were all just sitting there going, wow, this is amazing, and you're like, don't care.
see the thing is, once it's actually on the 360 and you have the environment, the sound, everything else, and the lighting, it is impressive again. It's not just seeing your work, obviously, and the reactions to that as well, but it also matters where you're doing it. So within this company as well, I do just sort of want to mention that we are growing really fast. A lot of the times when we have options, we are looking for a return on investment, right? It doesn't really matter how much the investment is, as long as there is a return.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. Because
of that, it's so like it feels so you feel so free to just explore things. Ultimately, there is no such thing as something isn't worth it because we can't afford it, and it's just incredible because you get to explore so many different things. I mean, there's endless possibility. You get to do whatever you want.
Well, I think that's the other thing, is that obviously we're kind of known for being a company that's not afraid to try something different and be like, is this going to work, rather than looking at all of the, and that must be quite interesting in marketing, because you can kind of look at other companies and say, traditionally they do X, Y, and Z, good to know, maybe we'll do that, or maybe we'll go and do something else. It's kind of cool to have like both of those options depending on what's working.
We're trying to not be normal, because what people get excited for is when they see new things, different things, And, I mean, it isn't normal to sponsor a Formula One team, especially a company our size, but it's literally the best thing we've ever done, basically, and things like that. But yeah, on another note as well, just sort of the graphics and sort of seeing things and leading up things, and sort of there are smaller like partnerships, like integrations and things like that, that you get to work with great people, you get to network a lot as well, and at the events as well, we get so much engagement still, even more and more, and sort of seeing things that you sort of design coming into play, and that's just incredible. I mean, even basic things, when I see these videos of our team in Australia, I'm going to some show and they're doing like a public talk, and it's it's my PowerPoint in the background kind of thing, and it's like, that stuff is just it's validation. Like there's so much validation. I like validation. Yeah, worldwide validation, and it gives.
I think that's what we all need.
Yeah, honestly, I really like it. Sort of validation is really something that sort of fuels me and drives me forward. I really like sort of feedback, and maybe if not from someone else, just me impressing myself is enough to keep it going and just keep improving.
Well, it's challenging yourself. Like if you're doing the same things every day, it then becomes very hard. Like people want to challenge themselves and grow and see what they can do.
Yeah.
Would you say, I mean, obviously we're tech disruptors, would you say that we throw out the rule book?
That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, because, it's... What are the rules in the rule book? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Is it a rule book, or is it like a general practice that seems to work so that you don't really want to do something out of that because it's not going to be successful?
That's what a rule book is, I guess, in that context, is everyone's just doing the same thing because they're like, this is how you do X, Y, and Z. It's like the whole consultancy thing. This is what you do to become a consultant.
Yeah.
But I guess, it's just doing other things. I think also, though, it kind of depends on size. So when you're a very established company and you have shareholders and stuff, it's a lot harder to make those decisions. And a lot of people say, no, don't do that. Whereas we do have that flexibility because we're still growing and because we are privately owned, we can make those internal decisions. That's like quite a cool place to be in, to say like, let's just do, that thing that seems a bit out there and actually does work.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Halo PSA as a name is known by a lot of people now, and obviously ITSM as well. It's just... We got a couple of people to beat until we're up there, but everyone's you look at these forums and things like that, and the only thing that they say is obviously how just different we are, obviously, and we are entirely sort of product and sort of market led, and that's what we focus on as well. It's like we've actually put this into words a few days ago with Paul. It's like rather than saying that this is how much money I can get from this market. What do I need to do to charge that? We do, this is everything that we can do. This is all that we can do. Have it, here you go. How much do you pay for it? That's what we do, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you do your best self, and then you and then you let the market decide its worth. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also interesting in the way that a lot of our features are driven by our use base, saying, what do you want? We do make decisions ourselves, but a lot of it's like, what do you want? And that's what we'll give you, rather than saying it has to be done like this. And that's kind of incorporating the users into the way that we think as well.
Yeah, it's the roadmap is largely determined and influenced by the community and obviously what is needed out there. But obviously we're keeping up with the the industry trends now with the AI and stuff like that. Obviously that's important.
I'm going to ask you the question we ask everyone on the pod. At Orbit, you're probably going to hate me for bringing this up, but Paul said, he was talking about the Halo Way. Paul gives this Halo Way speech, which advises sort of everyone internally and also users and our partners and everyone sort of what we stand for. So it's quite like an important thing that he says. And at Orbit, he said, the Halo Way is, and then he was about to describe what it is.
And I'm sorry to do this to you, Richard.
And then the sentence, instead of, it was just worded, to me it was just kind of funny, he just went, the Halo Way is Richard. But I think, and obviously he went on to explain what he meant, and he was talking about how you showed him your idea for the car, and the design, and suddenly that turned into like a whole job, is to say, you've got these skills, this interest, let's do something with it. And that was very Halo Way. But what does the Halo Way mean to you?
I think it encompasses not just his philosophy and management. And unfortunately, and I know he will hate me for this, but I am still yet to read Maverick.
That was one of our quick fire questions. Have you read Maverick? Richard.
But I am getting there.
No. He would say, stop it right now. Can we just get a copy of Maverick, please? Right, here you go.
Thank you.
Cool.
Until you put it into words and you find a good way of like explaining it, and we're still sort of trying to do that. what the best way to communicate it is. Until then, it just sounds like a set of things that we just do, and it doesn't really no one really understands why it's there. So like, why is it that you can come out and chill and unwind and things like that? Why is it that you can just grab a book and read it? Why do you get unlimited leave? Why do you get this? Why do you get that? It's not because we just feel like that's the way to go. And then what happens is when new starters, or like when someone who comes in fresh, if that's what they're immediately told before actually realizing what we do here, as a first impression, it looks like a low set of standards rather than what it actually is. Is creating an environment full of benefits that eliminate all the sort of stress to perform and to, like the pressure of what you'd normally get from a workplace, and every single benefit you get from this kind of philosophy is supposed to allow someone to get creative and start pursuing the things you want without feeling any pressure from the company or anything like that. So the idea behind the Halo Way, to me, is that it's supposed to make an environment where you don't feel restricted, and you're welcome to do anything. You're welcome to pursue anything that you want and show what you're capable of. And then whatever it might be. I mean, this is essentially sort of building off of what Paul said as well, is that I like designing. That's what I've been doing. I've been doing that for a hobby, just sort of doing things like this. And now I managed to build it into a job role, and I'm doing a good job at it. Do you know what I mean? And it's supposed to be an environment where you don't feel that pressure. That's why you get these things. It's not these benefits are not supposed to be exploited and sort of, that doesn't mean you can kind of slack, or you can just not do this and not do that. It's supposed to empower people that want to genuinely prove themselves and show what they can do, but lift off all the things that could potentially get in the way of them doing it.
But that's the thing, is even if you see somebody who's like sitting on the beanbags, when you look at them and you know them, you'll be like, well, I know actually the rest of the time. You may think they're not doing anything right now, but actually they're taking a break that they know that they need. And actually they work really, really hard and stuff like that. So we've got some quick fire questions for you. You ready? You have to answer them quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Triple Crown, Chrome, or Stealth Mode?
Triple Crown.
Why?
More colours.
More colours. Yeah. Nice. What's the best F1 circuit?
Spa.
On the Halo, would you rather ITSM or PSA?
ITSM. ITSM looks nicer as a logo, I think.
Not biased at all.
Because I always read Halo PSA as Holopsa.
I was wearing a Halo ITSM t-shirt and they thought it said halitosis.
Slightly off.
Okay, final quickfire question. It's a tricky one. How do you say the Halo Way backwards?
You. Ole. Eth. Ew. Ole. Eth. There you go. So, here, look. Hey.
It's not my favourite bit, but it is a fun bit of the podcast. We like to give everyone a little parting gift for participating on the podcast. Not bribery. People want to be on the podcast. Anyway.
Okay.
So anyway, close your eyes. Hold out your hands. On the gift front, we're not the most organised, so I'm going to give it to you, and then you need to try and work out what it is with your eyes closed.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh.
I like the commitment to
No,
this.
Is this like a long cardboard strip? That's
Yeah.
okay. So I suppose it's something red because it's near Christmas.
Reasoning wrong, but you are slightly correct. It is red. I was like, oh my god, you can't do graphic design with your eyes.
So this is a transparent bag that stops here. This has like a cardboard bit that's like slightly red. This has like that weird cut out.
I think we should just get Richard to guess things with your eyes closed. You're doing a really good job.
What is this?
Okay.
Give me a hint.
You might want to wait a month or so to actually use it.
Well, it's not a Christmas calendar, is it?
You can open your eyes.
Oh my god. What is this? It is a calendar.
It is a calendar. It's not a Christmas calendar.
Wow.
You can have for the whole of 2024. It's the gift that keeps on giving, Richard.
This is really cool. I like this. Okay, now quick fire questions.
Yeah.
What car is that?
So when I learnt to drive, my driving instructor would say, "Go park behind that Ford," and I'm like, "Which one's a Ford?" It was very chaotic. Right, I'm gonna go do some work.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the pod. If you like what you heard, feel free to check out the links below. If you have any questions or would like to be a guest on our pod, email us at podcast@imaginehalo.com.